Can anybody help me get on? Oop, I can't seem to get my,
We can hear you.
well, you can hear me, but my picture's not there. Do you need my face there?
It's up to you.
I don't know how to get it there.
Look at the lower right left-hand corner of your screen.
Okay.
Above your taskbar, there should be.
A start video.
No, there should be mute and stop video, start video. Yep.
Okay,
right
start
next to the
video.
mute. Yep.
Yep. That should turn your camera on.
Somehow we lost
Hey,
it.
that's what it is. How you doing?
Yeah. Hi. We see you.
I'm John Napolitano. How are you?
Yeah. You have a nice fan there. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I'm not used to doing this. That's all new technology for
That's
us.
right. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it's nice to learn.
That's right.
Where am I at?
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I already got COVID this year. So,
Oh,
mhm.
no,
Just-
we've been lucky. We haven't had it.
Wasn't bad, but my husband got it after I did, so I probably gave it to him. I got it on vacation.
Yeah, that usually happens when you get in an airplane or you fly or go into crowds. That's when you usually
Yeah.
pick it up.
I think it was a bakery. I went to a French bakery in Wellfleet.
Oh, hi Frank, how you doing?
Frank.
No
How you
video.
doing, John? How
No,
you doing?
now you got the video.
What's that?
I said, now your video came on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Microphone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, microphone's on. I think we're all set.
I'm actually, I should introduce myself. I'm John Napolitano, owner of the property on 27 Loyola Road. And Frank is our builder. We're on the agenda.
We'll get to you.
Yeah. We'll get to you. I'm just waiting to see if Stuart Peasley will be logging on. I don't see his name yet. I'm seeing two Franks. One Frank is, I can see his picture, and he's currently muted. There's another Frank that says connecting to audio. I don't know if it's the
Okay.
same. Yeah.
So, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Here and see you now.
I was muted, so I guess I'm kind of new to this stuff too. So my daughter's helping me out here.
Yeah. Well, you can still mute yourself. But on my top bar, which lists everyone who is logged in, there's another Frank. I don't know if did you try to connect on another device, and it's.
He probably hasn't started. He probably joined and then it's asking if he wants his Wi-Fi or to call in. So he probably just isn't on the screen yet.
Okay, all right.
Millennial here. I got it all down.
Yeah, thank you for the millennials. I mean, I'm constantly going to my grandkids to, how does my cell phone, how does this Facebook thing, how does I don't want to do Instagram. They're like, oh, Grandpa, you got to do Instagram. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that's the issue. Everybody, the technology is way above us.
Oh boy. Well, if we don't get Stuart Peasley on, then we won't have a quorum, will we? Oh, come on, Stuart, where are you?
Yeah, you do. You got 3.
Oh yeah. Oh, we do have, okay. All right.
You only need 3.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, then I'm going to start the meeting. So good evening, everybody. Mark Parker, Chair of the Woodstock Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. I'm gonna open the meeting. It's 7:05 by my computer, digital clock. Open the Woodstock Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency, November 6th, 2023 meeting. I need to call up my agenda here. Let's see, where's the agenda? It's got to be here somewhere. Okay, there we go. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to the website.
This is interesting. I don't know what the heck that is.
Okay. So yes, I've called to order, and now I'd like to have a roll call vote of current members present. I'll begin. Mark Parker,
Bill Rowinski. Molly, you're muted.
Marla Butts.
okay. All right, and no other alternates are present yet, so we will begin the meeting. Action of minutes on the previous meeting. So the regular meeting was October 2nd, 2023. Any comments, questions, corrections?
Bill Rowinski, we can discuss that one, but we also need to add an agenda item of the September minutes, because we did not approve those at the last meeting.
Ah,
Because they were posted very late.
got it. Okay. So then, yes, thank you, Bill. So let's move on to the agenda, action on the minutes of the September 2023 meeting. So let me find those minutes now.
I move to include that under agenda item number 4B.
Or B, yes, okay. Thank you.
Can use a second on that, though.
Bill,
Second by Bill Rowinski.
thank you. Motion been made by Marla Butts, seconded by Bill Rowinski to add action item 4B to review the regular meeting minutes of September 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, abstained, so moved. Okay. So then let's review October 2nd.
I was not here, so I can't make any comments.
Okay. Yep. Bill?
Yes, on item 6, new applications, 6B. There's a Crystal Pond Road, David Barlow Pavilion. It's not the Lake Association, I believe, that plans to construct that. It is, let's get the exact word. Crystal Pond Park Commission.
Crystal Pond Park Commission.
That is a joint entity of the town of Woodstock and the town of Eastford. That's
So
the
then-
only, that's
Yep.
the only change that I saw in these.
Okay, so we should change on item B, 6B, second line. It should say the Crystal Pond Park Commission plans to construct.
Yes,
Okay. So we'll set that, so we'll strike Lake Association and replace it with Crystal Pond Park Commission. Okay.
I don't have any other changes. I move to accept the minutes of October 2nd, 2023, as presented with a single change of changing 6B, the Lake Association to the Crystal Pond Park Commission.
You'll have to second it, Mark,
Oh,
because I have to
I
abstain.
second, yeah, I'll second it. Yep. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, abstained,
What? I abstain.
Marla abstained, yep. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now I need to go back to.
Mark, this is Dan Malo. Stu
Dan.
Peasley has entered with us.
Oh, okay. Stuart Peasley has joined the meeting. I thank you, Stuart, for attending. I would like to call to appoint you as alternate voting member tonight. So.
Right.
Thank you. Okay. So now we are going to review the minutes of the September meeting. I need to find my copy of the September meeting. Oh. Meetings. 9/11, right? Is that when it was? Yep, okay. All
Bill
right.
Rowinski, I have a few changes. Under 5 pending applications, 5B, about 4 lines up from the bottom, it says J and C, civil engineers. I believe that's supposed to be J and D.
I'm still trying to find it, Bill. Dan, where do I find it on this town website? With the minutes finally posted, where do I find that?
So on our town webpage, wetlands section, there is in a sidebar under news, our calendar, then agendas and minutes. If you're not in a, if you don't have a full screen open, sometimes it doesn't show and you might have to use the
Right.
scroll bar. And I can put them up on the screen if you'd like.
Yeah, could you do that for me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, in front of you, you have 5 pending applications. We're looking at 5B, which is off the screen at the moment. And in the bold part there at the bottom of 5B, about 4 lines up, it says J and C civil engineers. That should be J and D civil engineers.
Okay, civil engineers.
And then under 6 new applications. 6B. The let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th line down, a sentence starts, an out-of-date state reporting form will need to be updated with the IWW agent, IWWA. The update needed to be from municipal to on-site septic system. Just to be clear on that. Don't recall if that's the only update, but we at least needed that to be changed.
So that is after agent, add the words from municipal to on-site septic.
Somewhere in there, yes.
Yeah, and wasn't that made in the October minutes? I saw it in the first you know, that they made that clarification in the first part of the minutes of October 2nd.
Well, this just clarifies what we
This
were
is-
asking at the time
Okay,
of this meeting, so.
right, okay.
And then at the very end, personnel update, the last sentence says, he will remain as our ZBA support staff with a few authorized hours per week. Is ZBA really what we talk about there? Dan can answer that question perhaps.
No, I haven't been part of the ZBA since April, so I don't think we mentioned that at the last meeting.
Well, that was 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, it had to be in reference to this wetlands commission.
Was it
Yeah.
wetlands or ZEO?
No, wetlands.
Okay,
Should
I'm
be
currently
wetlands.
just the wetlands agent right now.
okay.
In support of Woodstock IWWA.
IWWA, yeah.
Yep.
So just change ZBA to IWWA.
That's all I have, unless anybody has anything else.
Which number was that?
7, yep,
7B,
Roman numeral 7, letter B,
Oh,
the last sentence.
personnel update.
in 7A, I was just skimming up. I saw Axel needs to be respelled.
Where are you located? What page?
7B about the fifth sentence, fifth line up. Triaxle, AXLE.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Should be
Not-
AXLE, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Sorry about that, Daddy.
well, then again, if you're changing on 7B, personnel update, on the second line, it references ZBA, that should also be replaced with IWWA.
Right,
So you have that replaced twice in that paragraph.
Yeah,
correct.
Anybody else have anything else?
I didn't see anything, but my memory's kind of shot after 2 months, so COVID must have taken some of my brain cells away.
Understood.
All right, this is Bill Rowinski. I'll make a motion to accept the September 11th, 2023 minutes as amended.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made by Bill Rowinski, seconded by Marla Butts to accept the minutes of the September 11th, 2023 meeting, regular meeting as corrected tonight. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so moved. Okay. Moving on. Let's see. Okay. Number 5, pending applications. We have application 09-23-02, 94 Plain Hill Road, Woodstock Inn Associates subdivision and 2 new houses. All right. See if I can find that one.
So I have a question for Dan while you're looking for that. So Dan, I take it you got the qualifications from the soil scientist? That was an issue that was hanging out there.
Yes, I got an email today I reached out to the Society of Soil Scientists of Southern New England,
Mm-hmm.
and from Jacob Islib, their secretary, his reply was yes, Stephen Ribberty was approved as a basic member of SSSNE in the past.
Okay.
And in our Zoom document linked to our agenda, I included his bio with Goddard Engineering, which speaks to his qualifications. And I'd like to note that we did receive an updated DEEP form regarding the availability of sewer versus septic for the site.
Yeah, it says on-site wells and septic systems. There's a section probably about 40 pages in that's just the updates for this meeting.
Yeah, I looked at the plans and I took a quick look at the soils information. I didn't see anything that would warrant us not granting an approval. Because it's a 2-lot subdivision, or is it 3-lot?
2-lot.
It's 2-lot, and the only work is in the upland review area in the portion of the most southern lot, very small amount. The reporting form says it's 1/10 of an acre, even though the description in the application says there's no regulated activity. Technically, that's a regulated activity by definition. So it does need at least a wetlands agent approval for that, if not a approval by the commission. But I have no objection to the application. It looks fine. The only thing I noticed is that they didn't have any construction entrances called out for on the plans. I didn't see it. That doesn't mean that they weren't going to put them in, but that's usually standard so that they don't track dirt onto the road. That's part of the erosion sediment control, but that would be outside of the Wetlands Agency's jurisdiction. I just make that as a comment for the Planning and Zoning Commission. I move to approve application 09-23-02 94 Payne Hill Road, Woodstock and Associates subdivision with 2 new houses and one of the homes with minor grading work in the upland review area.
Seconded by Bill Rowinski.
Motion's been made by Marla Butt, seconded by Bill Rowinski to approve application 09-23-02 94 Plain Hill Road, Woodstock. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Thank you. Okay. Pending applications, Roman numeral 5, letter B. Application 0923-08. 2 Bighorn Lane, Madeline Straub, reconstruction of his existing lake wall.
Is this the one that had the concrete?
Yeah.
And there was a discussion about whether or not the property to the, I want to say to the north, but I don't think it was north, that had proposed riprap, and then there was going to be retaining wall in it. What was the final decision on that?
That was a
How that-
different, that was a different one. And
Okay.
there's more in here about that one tonight. Later
Okay.
on.
So refresh my memory. Did we have a picture on this one? Dan,
No.
did we have no picture of the property?
Not on this application.
Okay. And the retaining wall is set back from the edge of the lake, or is it right on the edge of the lake? It says proposed lake wall. How tall is the lake wall? Do we have a detail, a cross-section detail?
We don't have a cross section, but some of the detail is in the next drawing.
I see a septic detail. See,
Way down at the bottom of the page, it says proposed lake wall. And there's a dock sticking out.
the wall will be approximately, according to the attachment 4B, the wall will be approximately 16 to 18 inches high at the water's edge. This includes 100 square feet of wall. So my question has been is how do we know this wall is going to remain stable? Has this been looked at by an engineer to make sure that it's capable of withstanding the forces that it might be expected so that it can't fail into the lake? Do we have any other information on this?
It has not been reviewed by an engineer.
No. What additional details do you have regarding the actual construction of the wall? You say it's going to be natural stone. Does that mean it's just going to be stones placed up to 60 to 18 inches high?
No. What do you think?
So what will the wall be? What will it be looking like?
Should be natural stone, and I believe it'll be mortar or cement that's keeping it together. It will have a permeable base and back layer as well of gravel or crushed stone.
Is that contained in this application? Is there any description of that in the application?
Yes, there is a on the drawing.
Mm-hmm. Which one? The hand one? Hand drawn? Yep. Mm-hmm. Where is that detail? I don't see it here. I see a detail for an upper retaining wall, but not the one by the lake.
It should say, sorry, for some reason I can't see the screen share.
So there is a discussion of natural stone steps with check walls and terraced retaining walls.
So it says permeable. It's permeable paver patio, but we changed that. So it's the permeable is also on the wall.
I'm a little reluctant because it's right on the edge of the water. It's not set back from the water. If this wall was set back 2 feet back from the water where it couldn't fail into the lake, should it start to fail, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But the fact that you're putting it right at the water's edge and there's frenetic forces that can, move stuff around and you don't have a cross section of it, my suggestion would be that we table it till next month. I know the lake is probably already drawn down.
Yes.
To get better detail on how that wall is constructed, because normally when I would recommend that an engineer, certify the design when it's right at the water's edge like this, but it's only going to be 18 inches high. But I want to make sure that the details are there for how it's going to be constructed.
And as far as the cross section, are you looking for that specific part? There is a cross section noted on the survey.
All right, let's take a look at that.
I believe it's in the top right-hand corner.
I see cross section for the septic.
What, you think that's it? Okay, then I guess that's it.
Yeah, that I think is for the septic system. I don't think that's for the retaining wall. That's cross section AA. And you see the AA on the plan view. It goes right through the septic system, the leaching field. That's not showing the retaining wall along the lake.
See, the cross section will show us how thick the crushed stone layer is going to be, how thick the stone and the mortar is going to be, so that we can see, how thick and if it's strong enough to hold the forces back, etc.
And if it's going to be mortared, it really needs to have weep holes too, because the mortar is going to stop, some of the drainage coming out. So you're going to want to make sure you don't have ice building up behind it and pushing that wall into the lake. So you want to make sure the drainage behind that wall is more than adequate. Other walls we've had actual perforated pipes on the backside and weep hole or weep holes.
Okay.
I'm not worried about not having a whole lot of footing, not with natural stone, but the fact that you're mortaring it in, means if you do have any wave action that undercuts your wall, you need to show that your wall is going to be keyed into the ground so that wave action isn't going to undermine the stones that you're going to be putting in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you need a little better detail on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can work on getting some of that information. I mean, it is done by Creative Exteriors, who have done a lot of work around the lake. So I'm sure they're pretty familiar.
Yeah, they'll be able to help you draw up the cross section and the different medias that you're going to be incorporating into and behind the wall, right? So
Including the footings for the wall.
right.
I move to table application 09-23-08 to Bighorn Lane for the reconstruction of existing lake wall until we receive the additional details on the retaining wall design and construction.
Second by Bill Rowinski.
Motion's been made by Marla Butt, seconded by Bill Rowinski to table application 09-23-08. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, abstained, so moved. Thank you. Okay. Back to the agenda. Okay, Roman numeral number 6, new applications. Application 10-23-01, 27 Loyola Road. Frank Halley for John Napolitano, and we know that John is on tonight. Thank you. All right. Tear down and new house. Oof.
Bill Rowinski, I'd like to point out that they have approval from the Northeast District Department of Health for septic, but we don't have any detail of that. And I don't know what details on that page right there where the cursor is. Number 3, talks about that. Well, actually, just above the numbered thing, based on the information provided and paperwork in our files, this request has been approved under the following conditions. Now, the other thing I'd like to point out is both structures are going to be 2 bedrooms, but the original one is like a 3/4 bath, and the new construction is 1.5 bathrooms. So I don't know how they consider that, what, by bedrooms or bathrooms or whatever.
What's the date on the plans that the health department approved?
Appears till June 28th, 2023.
So the plans that we have are dated July. When you go to sheet 10 of the Zoom document, the plot plan, and you go over to the PCB house designer, the date was 7/17/23. So this may or may not be the same plan that the health department approved. So
Excuse me, but it is the same ones, it's the same documents I sent them.
okay. Dan, could you contact the health department and see if they could forward the entire application? So that he said that it's the same plan as shown on drawing 1 of 9 for client J. Napolitano. That's on page 10 of your Zoom document.
Okay.
The septic system, the septic tank, the septic fields, and the well are not being touched at all. They're staying the same.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also on record at the town hall and at the health department. And Maureen had all that information and she accepted it all.
Yeah, the problem is that I'm trying to, it's 125 feet back from the water's edge. And I'm trying to see what the distances are on your plan as to how far back the commission's jurisdiction goes. And I don't know if it includes the septic field, the existing septic field, and what grade changes you said you're going to keep the exact same footing. Are you going to put in a new foundation?
Yes, we're just gonna, I
Yeah.
was gonna lift it up and try to rebuild underneath it because the foundation was there. And it's easier to knock it down and build it new, right in the same location, right in the
Yep.
same spot.
We had an application a couple of months ago, and we had the applicant go back and get an engineered site plan so that the survey lines were correct, so they knew exactly where everything was. And that was also a rebuild. I don't know what other
Well, the
commissioners
north-
feel about that.
If you look at the drawing that's on there right now, that you have
Which-
up there now,
Yeah.
let's say to the right side of it is the
Mhm.
north side. And the front of it is towards the road. That the wall all the way down the north side is staying right in that same spot.
Mhm.
The east side where the little part is the same.
Mhm.
The little notch is the same.
Mhm.
The back end of it is in an
Mhm.
exact same spot as the deck that's there. Nothing is changing its location.
Mhm. What's the extent of your land disturbance?
None.
Well, in
That's
order
it.
to put in a new foundation, you're going to need at least 5 feet around the edge of that existing foundation for, excavation work.
Right, so they're gonna go in along the side and they're gonna do their excavation work, but I'm
Mhm.
12 feet or 15 feet from the boundaries. And I'm
Mhm.
46, and from the end of the place, I'm 46 feet away from the lake.
And
they just
you know,
built a new house on the left of me, and I'm not even gonna be as far to the lake as they are already.
are you talking about the Arthur Bell or
No, Arthur Bell is just sold. I'm
Cynthia
talking about
Hodes.
the other side. Yes, that side right there.
Okay. Yeah.
And they just put a brand new home in it, and they're farther to the lake than I'm gonna be, because I'm not changing anything. I'm staying right in the same footprint. If you have the town map, the original one, 1987, you'll see the existing building with the porch in the back side of it. Right there, the back side of it, that looks like the little porch, the little curve there, that's gonna be the end. I'm just coming up the side. That one right there, you see the little porch on the back, the deck? And that's, I'm not going, that's the end. Everything is right there. The piers are there, everything is right there. I'm not touching anything.
What's the yellow flagging for?
Maureen at the health district told me I had to mark off so nobody would get near the septic system or the tank. So as soon as she told me that, I went and I took some stakes and I went and got my caution tape and I taped it all off so no one would ever drive on it.
So the house you want to replace is the blue one in the photograph?
Right there, yes, right there. It's not,
Okay.
it's staying right there. In all the contract, Frank is online with us. Frank is the contractor and all, in the thing, and he has, Spring Hill Builders and Remodelers, and they're all licensed contractors and everybody's licensed professionals. And they're gonna follow the code like Maureen said.
So let me suggest something about the site plan. Couple of things. It has a scale. It doesn't have a north arrow. It doesn't tell me where the extent of the land disturbance is going to be for the construction work that he needs to do, that they're going to need in order to put in the foundation. And any materials that come out, the old foundation, is that going to be hauled off site?
Everything is gonna be removed. Frank wrote a letter. And it says all the demolishing and everything and all the debris, including the concrete, everything's gonna be removed.
Is that in this application?
Yes,
Okay, where is that?
Right
That's
there.
Spring Hill Builders,
yeah,
page 10. Okay.
yeah, that's it. And everything is in the septic system and the thing and the well and everything stays exactly the same. And the only thing that we're gonna do is where the tractor, where the equipment, we're gonna reseed it. So
Okay,
we're not changing anything. We're putting silt fences along both sides and along the lakeside.
So how far back is 125 feet in the drawing that's on page 10 of 10? That's your plot plan. Where's the wetlands, where does the Wetlands Commission Agency's jurisdiction end?
Probably right in probably, you see where it says on the side there where it says 46 feet? Probably right where the 4 is.
Okay, it says that the looks like it's the southern boundary is 148 feet and the northern boundary is 138. And the upland review area is 125. So it looks like it goes just almost maybe to the septic field, maybe not quite that far.
Right.
For 100, so the entire construction of the house and any work in it would be part of the application. And you're saying that Maureen said there was nothing that you didn't need to replace anything
No, I got
based
it.
on what you've
Nothing
told
is
us.
to, from what I read from the description of work to be done, nothing, no, the septic is not gonna be touched, the well's not gonna be touched. None of that, it's just the home. That's pretty clear to me.
Okay.
I would agree that normally we ask for, general north, south, east, west direction. But I'm comfortable with waiving it at this time because there's no change in direction toward or away from the lake. It's just following the same footprint, so.
So how would this differ from the one we had a couple of months ago where we made Mr. Paquette go out and get an engineer? Was there, do you guys remember the difference between that and this? Because that was, he was rebuilding on the, replacing the foundation. Wasn't he doing something to the septic system too? He had to replace the tank? It
Could
was a
be.
little,
I don't remember.
Recall exactly.
okay.
We're not touching our tank. We're not touching our fields. We're not touching our
Yep.
systems at all.
Yep. I see that Maureen did say you had to tape off the septic system
Right.
during construction to ensure that proper separating distance is maintained to protect from heavy traffic.
Right.
Yeah, because that's going to be critical to keeping your system.
And you have a letter where I just maintain the system.
Yep. I don't know what you sent to her, what you provided to her. I'm assuming that it's a similar information as what's on the
Same what
plot
you
plan.
see.
It's a later
Yeah.
date.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's the same.
it's the same. And her date is probably later date because it took them 13 weeks to get me an approval because they were busy doing the fairs, working at the Brooklyn Fair and working at the Woodstock Fair. So it took them a while to get the approval to me.
So explain to me exactly where this, I'm looking at the plot plan on page 10 of 10. Where exactly are the silt fence, hay bales, whatever the erosion and sediment control is going to be to
They're
protect
gonna
the
go
lake?
down both sides, the north side, the south side, and across the lake side.
Okay. So
Right
you
where
have a
just had-
fence,
Excuse
you have
me?
a fence on one side, on the Arthur Bell side, right?
Yeah, that's it's now John
Weber's.
yeah,
John Weber's.
John Weber.
Mhm.
John Weber owns the property now. Arthur Bell does not own the property anymore. And the
Okay.
fence is there.
So
And I
you're
put a
basically
silt
gonna,
fence right,
you're gonna encircle the construction site.
sure, yes,
Up
that's
to
what we
the-
want to
up
do.
to the
Yep,
edge,
with the
okay.
silt fence and hail and
Well,
bales
the
of
way,
hay.
yeah, well, the way the silt fence was drawn, it looked like it went onto everybody else's property too.
Well,
So I'm just trying to get that clarified.
well, I just continued it to go across so it would say silt fence in that.
Hmm.
Paula, this is Bill Rowinski. I'm looking back at Chandler Puckett's application, and one of the details, because this print is really small, says install new 1,000 gallon 2 compartment septic tank.
Mhm.
So that was one of the considerations. The other one, I'm not, I think the house was probably a different footprint. They also were removing the old septic tank, I think, because it was partly
Yeah.
under the house.
Yeah, that was my recollection. So
So
that
there was more to that application than this one, so they're
much more serious, yeah. I was concerned about what everything laid out with the septic system.
Right.
And exactly where it was in relation to the jurisdiction of the commission, to make sure whether or not the commission had jurisdiction in that septic system that was going to be, and I think we did, that
Right.
it was going to be modified.
Yes.
So we needed to make sure we knew what was coming through. What's your timing on this? When do you plan to start work? If you get
Soon as you
approval?
give me an approval.
Okay.
Well, we have to consider it for next month's agenda, so.
Well, there's no work in wetlands, so it's only in the
right. Got
upland review area, so it could be a wetlands agent approval. Doesn't have to sit around. I was just asking because sometimes that can make a difference in the kind of controls that you use, because you're not going to be able to stabilize this until the spring anyway. So the what you may find of better use than silt fence and hay bales would be wattles. They're easier to install. If you do, it
Right.
didn't look like you had many trees, but I would suggest at least along the lakeside using wattles, and maybe even going up partially up the sides rather than silt fence and hay bales. Hay bales are difficult to put in. So is silt fence if you got trees with a lot of tree roots, if there's stones in the ground, that kind of thing. But it
It's
doesn't
easy enough
matter.
to do, yeah.
Yeah, that's erosion control.
Yep.
Silt fence, hay bales, wattles, any one of those is fine. I don't have the problem with this being processed as a wetlands agent approval.
Frank, are you going to be doing the work?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so you're familiar with wattles, right?
Yeah. Done it
Okay.
many times.
Good, all right, yep.
Yeah, they're also friendlier to amphibians that might want to cross over. Whoever wants to cross over in the wintertime, nobody's going to want to do that, but in the spring.
Yeah.
What about stabilization of the disturbed soils? What is your plan?
Well, being going into the time of the year we're going, as soon as we're able to, we'll seed it, obviously, so. I mean,
So it
I don't
says
know what
you're
else we can do.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to put topsoil and then grass seed, according to what this says. And that would have to be in the spring. You wouldn't be able to do that till the spring.
Correct.
Yeah. There is a thing called frost crack seeding. So if you've got the site set up, and you get all the grading done, if the ground's not frozen and you get your topsoil in and you put down a hay mulch, you can seed when the ground is frozen. That's called frost crack seeding. And then it'll germinate in the spring if the birds don't get it first.
All right. I have, yeah. So we definitely could mulch the whole area and use what you said. That's the one material you just said, so.
Yeah, you can find that in the 2002 Connecticut Guidelines for Soil Erosion Sediment Control. It's called frost crack seeding under permanent vegetative cover.
Seeding, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty darn good advice. I wish I'd have known that before. I've used it in many other jobs.
Good tip.
I moved that application 102301, 27 Loyola Road, Frank Hale, for John Napolitano, the tear down and the reconstruction of a new house, be processed as a wetlands agent approval.
Second by Bill Rowinski.
Motion's been made by Marla Butts, seconded by Bill Rowinski, to approve application 10-23-01 as a wetlands agent approval. Any further discussion?
We could add based, if Marla wouldn't mind amending, based on septic system approval by, already approved by Northeast District Department of Health.
I agree to that modification.
She has already approved it.
We didn't vote for it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I meant Maureen from Northeast Health District approved it.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I'm stating.
Oh, okay, I'm
We're
sorry.
basing it,
The approval is based upon that,
Okay,
based
thank
upon her approval.
you. Okay, thank
So
you.
if there's something wrong with your approval and something goes wrong with a septic field and something's going to happen, then you might have to come back to the Wetlands Commission. I don't know
Right.
whether the septic field is in the upland review area or not.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All right,
Opposed, abstained, so moved. All right, wetlands agent approval.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
And I hope you feel better with your COVID.
I'm all
Yeah.
done with it. I'm
All
good.
done.
Yeah,
I'm good.
All right, good night. Thank you very much.
Good night.
aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Roman numeral number 7, no, 6. Letter B, application 10-23-02, Route 169. Let me get it, zoom in here. Patrick Blumberg.
My name's Spencer Schmelk. I'm the contractor for Patrick Blomberg.
What was your name again?
Spencer Schmelk.
Spencer Schmelk.
Dan, were you able to find any past wetlands approval for this property?
Yes, there was a prior approval for essentially the same plan from 2012 that expired before it had the opportunity to be renewed.
Do you recall what date that was?
Yes, I've got that document posted on our meeting page on the town website. All the materials from that. So I'll pull that up.
I was just gonna check the old minutes. Do you know what month that was in?
September 12th, 2014 is the
Okay.
date I have here. This
Got
is
it.
on the screen, the previous approval.
Was it under a different name?
I'm sorry, let's
Looking at-
see.
20 September
No, I'm
12th.
sorry, I misread the application number. So September of 2012.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what we said about it then. No, I don't have September. I've got October and August. But I don't have September.
So I have October 1st, 2012 minutes on the screen.
Okay, there it is. Yep. Oh, Bob Messier. Oh. So just for the record, Bob Messier was present on behalf of the property owner. Mr. Messier stated Marla Butts requested more information. Mike Schaefer, he's a soil scientist, walked the whole property to make sure there weren't any wetlands that will be affected. The plan provides for everything that might be built, even if it isn't being built right away. There is a narrative which includes sequence of construction. He indicated the Northeast Department of Health has approved the plan. There is a traditional culvert And he provided a report that the drainage calculations which show the pipe size is commensurate with the pipe size across the access way. The drainage pathway of 0.83 acres is across the proposed driveway, then across Route 169. They thanked him for addressing the issues, and it was approved with the corrections as presented tonight. Whatever those corrections were, I don't know. Okay. So this is the same drawing, looks like.
Correct. I
From,
believe it's the same one.
well, he's got all kinds of revision dates on it after 2013, 12. I wonder what they were.
I believe he added a rain garden up by the proposed house and I believe that detached tool shed or open shed, I believe it was called.
Okay. So the tool shed was, I see the proposed, oh, I see proposed open shed. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yep. And where's the upland review area? Well, that's not in, yeah, that's not even in the area subject to commission's jurisdiction.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically there were no changes on the driveway from the original? It's
No
exactly
changes.
Yep. Okay, let's see what he's got for sequence. Is the sequence of construction proposed to be the same as it was back then?
Yes, we're gonna start with the driveway and then kind of work our way up the hill.
Okay.
You know, start driveway, then the proposed tool shed and
Mhm.
that accessory structure septic, which he does leave a additional area there for additional septic fields in case if Maureen decides she wants a larger field. It's supposed to just be a tool shed. It's not going to be a residence. So technically it doesn't need anything more than that, but he provided it just in case.
No, we don't have jurisdiction over that, so.
Yep. I guess that's true. It's outside of the upland review.
Yeah, the upland review goes halfway up the driveway and then it
Yep.
ends. And since Mike Schaefer already was reported to have walked it to make sure there were no other wetlands on the property, I think we can still accept that. I don't think things would change that quickly.
Okay.
So we can only accept this application at this time since it's a permitted activity because it's fill in wetlands.
Yep.
It can only be, so I move to accept application 10-23-020 Route 169 map block lot 7280-29-58A Patrick Blumberg for a driveway crossing. I move that it be accepted for consideration at next month's meeting.
Second by Bill Rowinski.
Motion's been made by Marla Butts, seconded by Bill Rowinski to accept for consideration application 10-23-02. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so moved. Next month's.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Roman numeral number 7 under new applications. Letter C. Application 10-23-03, 41 Hiawatha Heights, Sugata Mitra, new retaining wall along Lake Bungie.
Chairman, this is Dan Malo. Daniel Blanchette has been working on this application with us prior, and he wanted to let the commission know he couldn't make it tonight to present this, but he did have a summary that I could read into the record, or I can post it on the screen, even easier.
Why don't you post it on the screen and then read it to us?
Post it on the screen.
This is his wife's birthday today, so he can't make it. A quick summary for this project. When they submitted a previous permit a few months back, there was some work proposed in the northeast corner. The commission was concerned this work could affect the neighbor and asked us to get the neighbor's permission for the work. His client could not get a hold of the neighbor in time, so we removed that work from the final application. The approval we got a month or two ago did not include this work at the northeast corner. Ironically, right after that approval, we did get verbal permission from the neighbor. His client is working on getting something in writing and will definitely submit that before the next meeting. But basically, this new application is for the work that we removed from the previous application. Actual construction work is the same. Everything on my site plans has been seen by the commission, just not approved. Thanks, Daniel Blanchette, J&D Civil Engineers.
I move to accept application 10-230341 Hiawatha Heights, Chugoto Mitra, new retaining wall along Lake Bundy for consideration at next month's meeting.
Second by Bill Rowinski.
Motion's been made by Marla Butts, seconded by Bill Rowinski to accept for consideration application 10-23-03. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Very good. Okay. Roman numeral number 7, administrative business. Letter A. 2024 meeting dates. Thank you, Dan, for putting that together for us.
Welcome.
We have January 8th because of New Year's being the first Monday, January 1st. So we'll have our first meeting in 2024 on the second Monday, January 8th. And then again later on in September because of Labor Day. That's understood. All the rest of the dates look pretty good.
April Fool's Day.
Ooh. What can we do with that one?
What about October 7th? When is Columbus Day? Is that the following week?
Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, no.
So is that on the 7th?
Let me check.
I think that's on the 7th.
Yeah, let me see.
Columbus Day in 2024 is the second Monday in October.
14th. So that would
Yeah.
be the 14th. All right.
Yep.
And then Veterans Day in November would be,
On the 11th.
okay, got it. Well, this looks good. Good to go.
I will transmit the final draft to the clerk's office.
Sounds good to me.
Shall
You don't
we
need a
vote on-
motion, do you? Do you need a motion?
No,
No, okay.
no,
Okay.
I need a motion. Okay. Letter B, membership and term renewals. We have that document. Bill, your term is up at the end of December. Will you accept a reappointment?
Yes, I will.
Okay, good. You need to let them,
And
yeah.
Stewart as well.
Stuart, yes.
Who?
You,
Who's that?
Some architect guy.
Who?
We have an expired alternate also,
Yeah.
12/31/22.
seems we have so few members, do we, I believe I'm registered as unaffiliated.
Party parity will potentially be an issue. We do not have any Ds on our commission. I believe we have one R and two unaffiliated.
Well, it's gonna have to be that way because they don't say anything about unaffiliateds in the law. They only talk about the two parties. So until we get another person, unless they're unaffiliated, if they are affiliated, they'll have to be a D, a Democrat.
Correct.
But for now, I don't think we need to worry about it.
If anybody knows anybody on the Woodstock Democratic Committee, we need to get them to do some calling, or we need to get somebody. We desperately, for a number of years, we just need to get the word out, I guess. I don't know.
It's one of my personal goals serving this commission to recruit a member or two. And I hope I get one or two before I leave.
Great, yes, thank you.
Well, if we were all unaffiliated, then you could get from either party, correct?
Yeah, if everybody was unaffiliated, that wouldn't be a problem. We can't have domination or unequal representation. It's generally called party parity.
Yeah.
So if you have, so it just doesn't get stacked all the way one way.
Unaffiliated means independent or just nothing?
Unaffiliated means not registered in a political party.
So what if you're independent? Like I'm independent.
You're unaffiliated then.
Yeah, Connecticut
Independence
doesn't
would
have independent per se.
Okay.
But if you're not registered with a major or minor party, you are unaffiliated. And the majority of our board is unaffiliated. But we do have one R, which means we'll need one D or a U.
See, I thought R meant retired. I'm retired.
I thought it meant retarded.
Thanks a lot, Stuart.
Just kidding.
And Dan, thank whoever updated the contact list. They did a good job.
Yeah, this was the work of part your work, part Dottie's, part mine, and part Tracy in the office.
Good.
Thank
I
you.
like to keep a printed copy because as you know, my email address has changed. So I did send a reminder out because I did get something and I'm losing HughesNet tomorrow. I will not have a HughesNet email account at all. And I won't be able to have access to it because I got high-speed internet now and I'm not going to use satellite. So just remember that.
Thank you, Marla. I got that response and I made the changes to my contacts list in my email thing. So thank you.
Did you recognize the number, the 424?
Oh, no, I didn't.
That was my old work number.
That was your old work number, right? Yeah. Yep.
You have to pick something you remember, you know?
Right, yeah.
What provider did you go with, Marla?
Frontier,
Oh, okay.
high-speed
so-
internet.
So that
They-
they've got
installation
the
for
fiber
free.
optic.
Yep. They did the installation for free.
So that's all up.
350 350 feet underground to the house.
Wow.
Under a stone wall too, right? You have to go under a stone wall too?
No, they went under the driveway.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's not in a conduit, so I got my fingers crossed about how long it's gonna last.
Mice, watch. But fiber optic, if that should be fantastic. I am so
It is.
interested to see how that works out because I used to have good service and then, well, they upgraded to 5G and ever since they did that, it's been horrible. But I'm talking about wireless. So I'm looking to change over to Frontier if they're in my neighborhood. I don't know.
Contact them because they've got the signs all over town.
Yeah.
Because I suspect that's part of the federal government's upgrading for rural areas. for
Well, they
internet
said they
access.
were going to have it done last July, so I think they were a little bit late on that. But
Yeah, I only just got it 4 months ago.
yeah,
months ago.
oh, that's pretty close. That's great.
So under Roman numeral 7, administrative business, Dan, do you have
Oh.
anything to add in terms of a wetlands agent report or anything?
Mark, just one question.
Sure.
Do I have to do anything here with that last subject on term expiration?
I believe contact the clerk's office or the first selectman.
Contact the first selectman's office, Stuart, and let them know that you're still interested in, being appointed an alternate. So they'll issue another letter for you.
I'm
And then
still
swinging
you'll
it.
be sworn in by the clerk.
Yeah, they have,
Okay.
the Board of Selectmen have to approve that.
Right.
And then the clerk swears you in. I don't know, I've never been re-sworn in. I only had to do it the first time I came on board, and then the Board of Selectmen just put it up on their meeting and they just renew it. And I didn't sign anything. I haven't been sworn in. Thompson's different. They make the commissioners swear an affidavit every time they get reappointed, but Woodstock hasn't done that.
And what's the difference between alternate and regular? I mean, the reason why I switched over to alternate was because I was going to be spending a lot of time in New York, and now that's passed.
I
Right.
suggest you apply for one of the full seats then, because they're if say we had full membership, you might not be seated if you weren't needed for a quorum. So you wouldn't be able to vote on some matters. You could sit with the commission, but your vote wouldn't be needed. And if you're a regular attendee, it makes sense to be a full member.
All right.
So why don't you go for the December 31st, 2026 one, Stuart, fill that one.
Okay.
So Dan,
All right,
can you let the selectmen know if they could, consider, appoint Stuart for that full position. And then also renew bills. I don't know, what do they appoint us for? Like 3-year stints or 4-year stints? What are they?
5. I think
5.
they're
Oh, okay.
So
So
I
that-
apologize, my camera's not working. I missed, I don't know why I'm on a new computer, so it's, who knows what's going on. I missed a couple days. Actually probably about 3 total days out sick. So that impacted some of my ability to work on some long-term projects. So my focus this past month was getting the stuff and materials for this meetings prepared. But I'd be happy to take any kind of instruction on areas that are falling behind in anybody's eyes. I know follow-up inspections are kind of top of my list. To form an inspection list and be economical about getting around town in my hours that I have. But I know we have projects that I would like to wrap up or at least get underway with this commission while I'm working with you, including updates to the application form and the planting the seed of regulation revision review.
So on the regulation review, I'm working on Thompson's now, supposed to present them with a draft by the 2nd of January, and that's going to include a new fee structure, as well as some changes. So I'm thinking that once I get done with Thompson's regs, it'll be a lot easier for me to go through Woodstock's and then make recommendations for changes on that, because I'll be real familiar with it. And it might be helpful for me to do that and then give that to the commission and talk about the details, unless there's somebody else wants to take the job. Because I think sitting down and talking things over, it can take a lot of time to get all the changes in. I think it's a lot better if you are reacting to a red line version, where you actually have the suggestions in front of you, and then you can add stuff and change stuff. But I'm going to be focusing on Thompson's because I'm under contract by them to do that. So we could kind of put that off for a little bit. We can't put them off too much longer because there's been so many changes down the road, but we haven't had that much business in Woodstock. But seeing what's happening in Thompson, the development pressure is starting to build there, and it's going to eventually slide over into Woodstock. So down the road, we're going to have to think about next year's budget, depending on who wins the election tomorrow, as to whether or not we get more of a full-time agent position available instead of the few short hours that we get. The town apparently has a contract as a contractor doing the work for the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that's pretty expensive. So I have a hard time believing that they're not going to look for a permanent position for both of those, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the ZBA, and the Inland Wetlands Commission. And I don't think it should be all one person, because there's too much work for in all those three positions for everyone. They need at least two positions.
Then we have to convey that to the
Board of
selectmen.
Selectmen. Well, whoever gets in, whoever gets elected tomorrow, then when they start their budget process in December or January, we really need to start to pressure that. So maybe one of the items on next month's agenda should be discussing changes to the budget. Now, the funds for the wetlands agent do not come out of the wetlands office. They come out of the selectman's office.
Oh.
So when Tina LaJoy was here, we made a recommendation for amount of time to be dedicated. And at the time, it was not viewed by the administration at that time to be a worthwhile change. But I can foresee the time is coming when we are going to have some pressure here, and we need to be positioned to be able to deal with that. And we're not right now. And Dan's going to be gone. Probably you were talking about, Dan, about being here to the beginning of the next year. And
yeah,
so,
I believe I'm pretty sure I could get us through January's meeting and the wrap up of business from that. It could be stretched, but it's I'm stretching myself then as development picks up for spring, for sure.
Yeah.
Crystal Adams, our HR in Woodstock, has kept me constantly in the loop about their hope for hire. Right now they're posting the position again as part-time and posting the zoning services again as part-time, similar to how they originally posted my position that I took. So it could change tomorrow. And I mean, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm prepared to I've committed myself mentally to stick with the commission through January's meeting and the wrap up of that.
Then you're going to be taking full time at Thompson?
I'm full time at Thompson now. That began in September. So it's been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And I kind of wore myself out a bit and got sick as a result. Just not taking care of myself.
Yeah, it's not good.
But it's a wake up call, you know, to prioritize right and still take care of my body and
Yeah, definitely. I asked because I was just wondering if you might have consideration for any consulting position.
You know, maybe that's kind of where the guys with experience sometimes go. I've had a pretty interdisciplinary municipal land use background between zoning boards of appeals, zoning, wetlands, blight enforcement. Right now I'm just doing wetlands. I know I don't really want zoning in my portfolio as a municipal employee, but I do have some of that knowledge kicking around in the back of my head. I've got projects in Thompson that you know I want to see through. I'm also the conservation agent there, and we're getting some good work done. I think.
Well, I can sympathize or empathize. I'm working hard with all this AI stuff. I'm really interested in the possibility of cloning.
Oh no, it's the Clone Wars.
If someone could just invent me a clone and a time machine,
Yeah,
then we're all set.
Oh,
So it's I'm trying to get the work process through and everywhere I'm working in a timely way and tackle some of the long-term goals of each of the commissions I work for. And I'm happy to work with you guys at least through Christmas and into the new year.
good, thank you. We need you.
I'm encouraged. There was a recent news article, I believe it was Connecticut Insider, that spoke to the shortage of municipal employees across a number of disciplines, including the land use fields.
Yep.
And this the wrap up of the article, or the short side of it, is that the state is looking at on the job apprenticeship, mentorship kind of way to get more people into these municipal fields. I don't, you know, we're going to need somebody before this next session, legislative session, but I feel there's help on the horizon, and our municipalities are going to be in much stronger shape with their staffing needs pretty soon.
Yeah.
well, it's a challenge uphill.
Well, those the consulting guys, you know, everybody leaves and goes to, you know, get that consulting money, and
Because they pay better.
yeah, it's but I mean, at the same time, I think the organization, or the company that handles our zoning, they're working with so many different towns, and it's almost the smart way to go for some towns, depending on what they need.
Yep.
So the land use field is becoming much more dynamic in our state. Especially with this new technology, Zooming now regularly for most of my commissions, whereas it was not even a thought 4 years ago.
So Dan, you used to have was Tracy working in your office?
Yep. Tracy's still with us, and that's the big victory, I guess you could say, and we managed to get more money into that office in salary and coverage for administrative help than they've had in a while. Ashley Stevens didn't have any administrative support, and when you have you're trying to write an email, somebody walks in, the phone rings, and then somebody else stands in the doorway waiting for you. It's very hard to get anything done.
Keep it together, yeah.
Yeah. And Tracy's help from filing to communications with the commission. We don't really have to work so much with you, but you're the easiest commission she works with. And I think her help in the office has just helped to kind of help me get my footing, and has been a benefit to the town.
Is she listed as staff for the Wetlands Commission, the agency? Or is she listed for planning and zoning?
She's part of the land use office.
Okay, and wetlands is part of the land use office, right?
Yeah.
So she should probably be on the contact list that you sent out, that you posted. She's not there. Because I assume her phone number would be the same as yours? No? Yes?
She has a different extension than me.
Okay. Maybe then add her. If she is actually part of land use staff, could you see if she had any objection to adding her name to that contact list? Contact information for the Wetlands Agency?
Yeah, I could do that.
Because if you're not around and we need to, leave a message or something like that, right now
Sure.
it's easy for me to do that because I'm at town hall enough times. But if somebody needed to touch base with somebody at town hall, rather than calling Crystal and bothering her, if we can call Tracy and get whatever needs to get done.
Sure,
if it's-
I'll bring it up next time I see her.
Okay, thanks.
Mark,
All right.
hey, Mark,
Yeah.
on another order of business, if we're done with that, I just wanted to fill you in. We had a meeting at Chamberlain Mill last weekend, Saturday. And have you guys ever been through there?
I have.
It's pretty phenomenal. And just to see the old turbine that was water driven. And I mean, now it's run by a Studebaker engine, but to see the technology that was pretty amazing. I've been working, helping them nudge it along, and they're making progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the mailer from them
Did you?
asking,
Yeah.
asking me for a donation.
Mark,
Open up
yeah.
the coffers.
Dan Melo, I know Bill was in the email chain. We should make mention of I guess a Scribner's error that was on our website that didn't really have any impact on our meeting, but Dottie had let me know earlier today that our website had in the agenda section the time listed for this meeting as 7:35.
Yeah.
And the attached agenda had our actual start time of 7 o'clock, and we posted that this was at 7 o'clock, but some technical issue or of some sort, the document was uploaded by the clerk's office with that 7:35 start time. I did manage to correct that about an hour or two before our meeting started, but it was online in our agenda sidebar. digitally stating 7:35 start time.
Hmm.
I don't think it affected our meeting. As I said, that our notice was posted properly in the body of the agenda. And our meetings customarily take place at 7 o'clock. But for the minutes and our record, just wanted to make that note.
Thank you. That was next on my list.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I am going to Keckwick's annual meeting on Saturday,
All right, I'll see you there.
along with Bill. So I don't know if anybody else is going. I haven't gone in a couple of years, so it'll be very interesting.
Please relay any receipts you have to me, and I can get us reimbursed.
Yeah, but you won't pay for the donation also, so I did I did send him a donation too, so
Okay, well, good.
Where is that being held?
in Bristol, I think. It's
Oh.
it's a conference center in Bristol. It's a long ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dan got the Keckwick membership renewed.
Which is good, so we got to pay a little less money for our,
Yeah.
what was it, 135 or 85 if you remember?
75, I think.
Yeah, well, I did it late, so I had to pay the extra $10, so.
Hey, Bill, if they have a Q&A time, you might want to ask them about, our recent incident and kind of generically say, can someone come to a wetlands commission meeting and request investigation into a past questionable permit approval? See what they say to that.
I kind of already know, depending
Yeah.
who you ask, what they're going to say.
Right.
Actually, we do have somebody on the citizen, I don't know, with a Rhode Island number that I don't know if they're waiting for citizens' comments or not. There's somebody else on the Zoom, so
I didn't see that. Yeah. Right.
I won't get into it yet.
Right, yeah. All right, well, I'm getting tired. I was thinking, all right, well, citizens' comments, Roman numeral number 8. Do we have any citizens' comments? Okay, good.
This is Mike Grenier.
Oh. Okay.
What's going on with my property? Any decisions reached yet?
We reached a decision at last month's meeting that you were all in compliance and that your permit was approved and yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I know that's all fine and good. I'm talking about the other matter that was brought up.
Well, we did some more, thinking and researching, and the commission doesn't need to do any investigation into past, permits, events or whatever. So we're just gonna let that go. If you want to pursue it, that's up to you, but we're not gonna, as a commission, that isn't under the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency, Inland Wetlands and Watercourses statutes. Town commissions are set up to, permit and process new applications, current and pending. They're not, it's not under their purview to go back to past approved permits and so forth. So, we're pretty much done with, yeah.
In other words, what you're saying is when you folks in town make a decision, you don't have to face any repercussions to your decisions. Which, let me give you an example. An automaker makes a vehicle. They decide to put a specific type of motor in that vehicle. 6 months later, they find faults with that engine. So they can just go to whoever, the federal government or whoever, and say, you know, that's 6 months old. We don't have to do anything about it. You know, I went in, I saw Dan earlier this month, and I said to Dan, you know, Dan, I don't need this nice stone facade wall. I was just venting and blowing off steam. I said, you know, I'm a reasonable person. Why don't we just do this the cheapest way out, make it look presentable, and be done with it? And we can do that with fill and topsoil and be done. And it won't cost that much money. I'm willing to be reasonable, you know, and the answer you just gave me, really, I mean, you know, if that's going to be your final answer, fine. You know, that's the way you want to stand, fine and dandy. Remember Dirty Harry, when Clint Eastwood had that guy pinned to the ground, and he goes, you know, in all the chaos, I don't remember if I shot 5 or 6 bullets. Hey, punk, how lucky do you feel? And you know something? If you force me, I will take this, starting out, to the news media. And I don't want to do that. And if I have to, that's where I'm going to start. I'm willing to be reasonable. If you people don't want to stand up to your decisions that you make as a council, then you shouldn't be on the council. And I know 3 years have been on that council for a long time. And Marla worked for the state, and I believe you did too, Mr. Parker.
Yes.
You know, and to me, you have a lot of experience in this. You know, you made a mistake. Fess up to it. Let's fix it. Let's move on. That's all I'm asking. But if you force me, you may not like the results, because I won't go after the town simply to, you know, make a barrier to prevent the water from coming in. I will also sue the town that should any water ever enter that house due to flooding, the town will be responsible for any and all repairs, motel bills, everything. And remember, I told you, I've already consulted a lawyer, and I like the odds he gave me. Work with me. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Mike, this is Stuart Peasley.
Yeah.
Let's I don't think we need to get so hyped up about it at this point, but let's see what we can work out. Let me just say this.
I think it's a different person talking to you tonight, because I'm not yelling, I'm talking normal.
I know, and I'm just saying, let's try to identify what the issues were and how they can be approached. In my recollection, then we took care of the application and that's all fine. But the issue for clarification is that there were discrepancies or inaccuracies in previous applications. To my understanding, that's what the issue,
Correct.
that's what the hanging chad is. That's what's unresolved. That's what we've got to address, correct?
Correct.
So I think what Mark is trying to say is that those kind of matters are not generally addressed in our process. And I think probably the way to approach this is to say, well, who knew what, when, and how, and all that. Look back at all of the applications and who was involved, and it's a little bit of homework. And so, Mark, the question then, and Marla and Bill, the question is really, so if there were errors made in previous deliberations, what's the course of action? If there were errors made, 10, 20, 15 years ago, maybe not even 20 years ago, but how does a commission proceed with that? I mean, to remediate or resolve, or does it go to arbitration? Does it go to legal? I mean, if something was done accidentally, okay. If something was done intentionally, that's another matter. But I think that's what my reading of the question is by Mr. Grenier, that other people could have any time, is like, well, if errors were made by a wetlands agent, who's responsible? If errors were made by the commission, who's responsible into straightening those out? But first of all, I think we have to define that and clarify that there was an error made at such and such a time and date. But right now, I think, Mr. Grenier, I just want to say, let's take this step by step.
Okay. It's not just the wetlands that made mistakes. It was the building inspector as well. And from what I've gathered also, at some point in time, he was the wetlands agent. I mean, the mistakes go back all the way to 1984. That's where they started. And they just progressed as things went along.
What I'm trying to suggest is that we do this with objectivity, with the old expression, cool heads always prevail. So
that's why I am talking tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times that I've been a hothead, and I've been known to be a hothead. And all I'm trying to do, like I said, when I went in and I spoke with Dan, I told him to relay to the council what my thoughts were in fixing this, and fixing it the cheapest way out for everybody. I'm willing to do that, but, again, when push comes to shove, I can push as good as the next guy can. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to try to work this out civil. And hopefully we can do that. I'm asking the council and the first selectman, because I know he had his 2 cents thrown into this, and maybe even the whole enchilada. He's the one that probably made the decision. I'm asking that you reconsider your stand on this, and we will either you can send me an email, Dan can send me an email, or we'll talk about this if you want again next month. But that's what I'm willing to do. So I'm going to keep the ball in your hands, and unless you want to give me your final decision now, it's up to you.
Well, we're not going to make a decision now because I'm not clear on what I think. I'm not clear on what yeah, I'm just really confused about this whole next step thing.
Well, Mr.
Just,
Parker,
yes.
Mr. Let me ask you something.
Sure.
You know, and I'm not trying to point fingers at any individual, okay? It was a group effort on this thing, because no matter who comes up with a proposal, it has to be unanimously voted on. So it ain't an individual. But let me ask you something. You said that the council made a decision. Number one, when did the council make a decision that you felt that this was, you know, not for you to handle? And if you are confused, how could you make a decision? You see what I'm coming from? This even goes back to what was approved last month. I tried to put it through with Killingly Engineering under farming, and you denied it. Mala said absolutely not. Yet last month you approved it under farming. So, you know, I'm confused.
Well, then I thought it was resolved then. Once we approved it, then it's resolved. Let's move on and do the project. That's what I'm saying.
The point that I'm making,
yes,
is if you're confused on something, how the heck could you make a decision that you feel that your council is not responsible for past decisions? You just got me confused. You know, tell you what, I won't even get into that because I'll start getting really irritated. Take another month. I'm asking you, take another month. Do what you have to do. I don't care who wants to come down here. You could bring the whole downtown down here. We'll look at what has to be done. If you look at everything that's in the file that I have dug out, I have copies of everything. If you look at everything, you're going to see that there was major mistakes done over here. And it's not just you. I mean, the building inspector, who I understand is over in Thompson now, and I hope Thompson gets rid of him because he's brain dead. The things that he allows is unbelievable. And this, I had a state building official over here, and he basically said to me, he goes, somebody knew somebody. You know, I mean, it's a combination. Well, you know something? Now, both you and I and whoever, we got to try to fix it. That's all I'm asking. So take another month, talk to who you got to talk to, do whatever you got to do. Again, I'm extending an invitation for anybody and anybody to come down here. I will make the time. and we'll go over it. You know, I'm retired, so I'm here almost all day long. Let's get this thing done. I don't want to waste my time going to the news media. I don't want to go to a lawyer. I don't want this to cost, because my odds are pretty damn good from what my lawyer told me, from everything I've given him. And this could cost the town a bunch. I don't want that to happen. Okay?
Okay, I would also encourage you to put together a plan of what you think needs to be done. That way we can, when we do come together, then, you know, then we can, because it's you as the applicant, as you're doing this, you know, we're not, the Inland Wetlands Commission is not going to be putting together an application for all the work that needs to be done. That's got to come from you. So anyway,
Well,
so like
I
you
can
said,
do that.
we'll work on that, and then I want you to also work on it from your end. And then when we come together to talk about this again, you know, we both got our paperwork in order.
You know, this is why I'm extending the invitation for whoever wants to come down here. And you know, you can see, when you can see something, you can understand it better. And it won't take long. 10, 15 minutes. It's not going to take long. I already have a barrier there. Dan and Mr. Peasley have seen the barrier. The barrier only has to be swaled on both sides. That's it. You know, it would probably take, I'm going to say 3 or 4 guys, couple of guys driving trucks, and maybe one guy in a piece of equipment spreading the material, maybe a couple of days to do what has to be done. It's not rocket scientists. You don't need engineers to draw up everything. It doesn't require that. But again, you're
Write up
welcome to come out.
Yeah, write up a new project plan and application, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Mark,
Yeah, go ahead, Marlon.
I think it would be helpful. Mr. Grenier has made claims that the Wetlands Commission agency failed to act in a proper fashion. And I really don't understand what those details are. I don't understand when that might have occurred. Was it in 1988? When the house, something happened with the house, I guess, and got a building permit? It would be useful if Mr. Grenier put in writing his complaint to the Inland Wetlands Commission for their investigation of their records to find out exactly whether or not there's validity to his complaints or not.
Right.
In that way, the commission knows exactly what it's supposed to be looking at and understanding what the claim is, what it did wrong in the past. Because we're going to have to research what goes on, what went on. And going back to 1988, due to records disposal authorizations, there may be some records that are gone because they were authorized to be disposed of. And it was my understanding that when Ashley was in town as the wetlands agent, she got records disposals authorized and disposed of some of our records, which I was unaware of until Dan came in. So we need to be able to find out if we can, what we can research, what records still exist, because the records retention statutes, or excuse me, the records retention plan through the state library and whatever authorizations the Wetlands Commission got may have destroyed some of the records that the complaints back in 1988 regarding, if that's what he's complaining about, what the Wetlands Commission did. The only thing that might not have been destroyed would have been the town, the meeting minutes, which are kept by the town clerk, and it'd have to go back in time to those. And that's quite a bit of effort. So it would be helpful to have Mr. Grenier's complaints about what the Wetlands Agency did wrong and about when that was, so we can look to see if there are any records that still exist for that. and maybe come to a different conclusion. But at this point in time, I'm really not understanding what the Wetlands Commission did that was wrong in the past. I'm not sure what it is. So that would be helpful. And that's all I have to say on the subject.
Marla, can I ask you something? I
You
want
can
to
ask, but I
jive.
won't know if I answer because you're threatening litigation.
Well, let me ask you something. Let's see how good your memory is. When did leach field systems start to be installed?
I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer.
Okay, I'll tell you. 1977. You know what this house, this is just one thing. And this goes back to when the house was first built. This house was built in 1984. You know what it had for a septic system?
No, I do not.
A cesspool. Why would there be a cesspool when leach field systems came out 5 years earlier?
I wouldn't know the answer to that.
I don't think any of you people were on the wetlands back then. That was the building inspector who was also the wetlands agent.
I don't know that either. I don't know that he was the agent back then. They had different agents back in time.
Yeah.
So he wasn't always the wetlands agent.
Yeah.
That's why putting down in writing exactly what the timelines are, the concerns that you have would help us to be able to investigate that for you and come up with a conclusion as to whether or not we have the evidence or not.
Okay, I'll put it together for you.
And the Department of Public Health has oversight over, septic systems, leach fields, and sewage treatment plants and stuff like that. So that would be under a different agency as well. So.
Oh, I know. I talked to them. And I know the scope of what they do. So, I will put it together, and you guys can figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
I move to adjourn.
I'm
Bill?
just gonna comment that
Right.
we have no proof presented and of anything. And the burden of proof is on the plaintiff in our legal system. So he's the one making the complaint, he's the plaintiff. So it's beyond us to really do anything about this right now. And the more we say, the more it can be used against us.
I would agree that your position is correct, but I also think it's helpful to have him place in writing what his complaints are so that you know where he's coming from, because frankly, I really don't know what it is that the Wetlands Agency did that was wrong.
Well, that's part of his proof that he needs to bring.
Correct.
Right.
So if he brings us some information that we can then track to see where we're looking, if there's any records, and it behooves the town to really check to see if it has those records, just so that it knows and it's what is available and what's not available. Because right now I have no idea what it is the agency did that was wrong. Not from the little bit that I have seen.
I'll just say that, Dan might remember this as well. When we went out to the site, Dan, Mr. Grenier, and I met, there was some documentation that does show and have some discrepancies. And this was as late as 2018. So.
But you don't have copies of those documents, do you?
No, the town has copies.
No, but you,
I don't have-
the town
I
has a
don't-
lot of documents, but
No,
that
I
doesn't
don't,
tell.
I'm just saying they were at that meeting,
Okay,
so they're available.
maybe he'll reference what those documents were in his write-up.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up that he's not waving his arms around in the air without some found footing for this.
But he hasn't
Um,
provided it to the commission.
He,
He needs to provide it to the commission, that information that he showed you.
absolutely, absolutely, and I'm not taking sides. I'm
Mm.
just saying that as the commission here has to stay objective. That's what I said earlier.
We are being objective.
And there, if there was mistakes made, then the question in my mind is how is it, it's about accountability.
Yeah, but first you have to get to the point of, were there mistakes made? First, and
Absolutely.
I don't have that information, so.
Absolutely. No one's asking you, but the commission is being asked by
Mhm.
him. And, you know, I've been to the property twice, once at the violation stage, but second, when we went out there to try to find a solution, Dan and I went out there and looked, and, you know, so what's on the table is a fairly reasonable resolution. There are other problems that go beyond our scope of service here. And they don't have to be part of our purview. But we've got to look at this pretty closely and try to help resolve the matter. That's my opinion. I think when you see some of the stuff, it just raises questions that I don't want to cast any shadow on Mr. Grenier or on the commission. Let's just try to walk a very straight line and see what we can do to resolve this. I think he's a little bit worked up about it. He's frustrated. He's got some anger. That's clear, but that's where I think we've got to all stay cool-headed about this and let him make his presentation and try to find a resolution that works best. But if I were in his shoes, I might have the same frustration. The property is in danger. The property is in danger of being flooded. And that could have been avoided a long time ago. That's really, you know, what's feeding the frustration on his part.
And he didn't know this when he bought the property then, I take it.
No. And he told us at our meeting that he made calls and was told that it's not in the floodplain.
The house?
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
The property. So he was,
Well,
I recall.
that's not our problem. That's not our problem.
I'm just saying that's what's feeding the fire here.
Yeah, okay.
All
Okay.
right. So there were errors made and now he's trying to deal with it.
Well, let's see what he presents as far as what the agency did wrong. Because I don't know what the agency did that was wrong. And I think knowing what his position is will be helpful for
Well,
us.
from our perspective, it's really just the agency, but what he delineated included the building department too. So,
but that's not our job.
I know it. I'm just saying it's in tandem. And you know, it began with the wetlands and then built on with the building department. And there was some overlap because the building official was on the wetlands.
I don't know that. I don't know that when the house was built. So
Okay.
those are the things.
All right,
Those are the
that's
things
all.
you have to investigate.
I'm just relaying
Okay.
what I was told.
Okay. I don't even know if we had an upland review area back in 1988. Have to look at the old regulations.
It goes in 2004 and 2018 are the subsequent dates as I remember. that play into this when work was done.
Okay, well, we'll find out what the dates are, then we can research it.
I'm in the background. I'm staying out of this.
Well, you
But,
haven't so far.
No,
All right.
but because at the beginning, it was, I like making field trips. I like going out and doing that part of it. And so the second part of it to me was just out of, the interest of helping clarify the situation. But he does have some information, which I think if he puts it together properly, it'll be easier to understand than what we're working with now. But from being out there twice and seeing the documentation at that time, which was provided by a drawing made in 2018, there's a couple of questions about wetlands. And,
I can put that document up on the screen.
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Is this is this the agricultural subdivision?
Yes.
Okay.
And apparently this was also used for the drawing to place a septic. This wetlands area here was not delineated or flagged. Looks like it was just kind of drawn arbitrarily, whereas this document is for the agricultural subdivision and has a more proper delineation in the scope of the subdivision. But where the septic area is cited, there's no flagging.
So my question, Marla, is if you look at the layout of the septic and you look at the layout of the wetlands delineation, they're oddly parallel. And I think also the other question was, shouldn't there have been some notes by a soil scientist at those delineations?
It might, since this would have gone through Planning and Zoning Commission, those notes would have been in the Planning and Zoning Commission's file, since this was a subdivision, an agricultural subdivision. So it wasn't that they were going to build a home on the second lot because it was an agricultural lot, not a building lot at that time. That's usually how they're referenced. So any soil science data, if there is any that exists, would have been in the Planning and Zoning Commission files, not in the wetlands files, because the wetlands
shouldn't it be annotated on the drawing?
Yeah, but that's only half the drawing. You're only seeing half of the drawing. That's a much larger plan.
All right.
It's only a small piece.
And we do have this a copy of this plan, the full page in our office. I believe it was Justin Thoreau who did the delineation. But I think that delineation was on this drawing was made in the context of the agricultural subdivision and then flipped around and used for a septic application. The wetlands seems like it goes right up to where the septic is located. So this line here, it might not be. I mean, it might be, yeah.
So you're saying Joe Thoreau might not have done the flagging on that parcel? So that was the suggestion?
Not on this section right here.
Yeah.
Now, in the wider sheet that shows the agricultural subdivision, he has flags all through where the subdivision was to occur.
So those are numbered on the plan, right?
Yeah, but there's no numbered flagging. There was no flagging that was done around the septic.
Okay, so something like that could go back to Joe Thoreau and say, what do you got for field notes? Or check the Planning and Zoning Commission files for that, what their requirements were. But this wouldn't have come before the Wetlands Commission, not for the agricultural subdivision. We normally don't get them. I think in Thompson, I don't know how the planning and zoning regs exist in Woodstock. I'd have to research that, but that could be, sometimes these soil scientists, they keep records of the sites that they've been to, and they keep that information, and they can go back and look to see what they did. So maybe all he was asked to do was flag certain areas. I don't know who was the engineer on this plan. You only see a part of it. I think I sent you a Killingly Engineering did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I go back to Killingly Engineering and say, well, how come there's no flag numbers on parcel A? That might be a question that might be asked, and they might be able to give an answer. I don't know, but that wouldn't have been the wetlands agency. That would have been planning and zoning. And when the house was originally built, there may or may not have been a requirement for actual flagging of the wetlands on that parcel. So he said there was a permit. The house was built in 88. I think he said.
Yeah, there was an addition that was in 2004, and then the septic went in 2018.
Yeah. So
this is a 2018 drawing.
Yeah. So the
Correct,
first place if there's a question about the wetlands delineation, one of the first places I would look is to see if there's anything regarding the original construction of the house and the location of the wetlands. Look for that on that plan and see what it shows. In those days, they tended not to have soil science delineations. They had general soil maps, and they'd show the general location of the wetlands boundary. So you didn't have actual flagging back then in many cases. I'm just saying from past experience of looking at past files. And in not just in Woodstock, but in Thompson too. So I don't know. It takes researching, and if we don't have those, if those got destroyed because the selectman's office authorized the destruction of those records by Ashley, and Ashley didn't know what she was destroying, what information might have been kept, like delineations, when we had soil scientist delineations that are not on the land records. Those things I would have kept. I wouldn't have destroyed those because those could have been used now. So now we could go look to see, you have the log, Dan, that goes all the way back to 1988. We can look through Vision, the property records to see who owned the property at the time, whether it was, I believe it was Spalding that he bought the property from. And if it was Spalding that was the original builder, what does the building office have in their records for their site plans? Going back, they're probably in storage. They're probably not in there, because I know stuff from my houses is a lot of the stuff isn't there. It was put in storage because they didn't apparently have space upstairs. So this takes a lot of research to look at this, to see if we had any evidence. But I need to see what he says. What did he say that the Wetlands Commission did, that the agency that did was wrong? And I really don't understand. In the 12 years I've been here, I haven't seen anything. In fact, I don't remember ever having an application on this site.
I also have difficulty in figuring out the who and what. I think he's conflating a lot of different things, and we're just the people that are listening to him.
Well, let's see what he presents.
Well, like I said, to reiterate, the burden of proof is on the plaintiff. He has not given us anything factual about anything yet. He's just made innuendos and threats. And we don't know that he has a lawyer, the name of his lawyer, or no name of the building inspector. I'm just going to bring up that I'm not sure that when he bought that house, there was an apartment in the basement, but there is now. So.
No, that was, as I understand it, that was there when he bought it.
That was there when he bought it, because I know he did some work down there.
No, not that.
Okay.
You'll see. There was a lot that he talked about when we went out there. Dan, did that delineation of the wetlands by the septic tank, that was done in 2018, correct?
I'd have to have the full plan sheet that I have in the office. I just have this excerpt here.
Oh, that's all I remember, is that it just struck me as odd. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because you know,
So, yeah, I just want to have him present all of this in writing so that we can look at it. And I guess what my brain keeps coming back to is, well, then shouldn't we wait for him to put together an application? If there's a bunch of work that he wants done around the property, if he wants to put in a retaining wall, whatever it is, then submit an application for all that corrective action work that he wants to do to prevent his property from flooding. And then we can look at it as a commission and, agree to approve it or not approve it, or with modifications or whatever. Am I understanding that right? Or does he want more?
Well, he might want more, but we have to wait for him to make the moves. What else was I gonna say about that? The more we talk about this with him, the more we're exposing ourselves.
Yeah, commissions are not supposed to be helping the applicants write up their project plans.
I mean, if you talk to Rich Roberts, which may be a good idea, getting opinion, he might tell you to not address it at all.
Mhm,
Because every time you open your mouth, you're making something that can be used against you.
mhm.
So at this point, if he's, the burden of proof is still on him.
Mhm.
I mean, it'd be nice to help him if there's some way we could help him, but it might take him 5 years and $40,000 to get through the lawsuit, and then has a risk of losing.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, and if he goes to the press with a bunch of accusations, and that could, lead to, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not defamation, but, when you accuse somebody of doing something wrong, whatever, and you go to the press instead of, the appropriate agencies.
Well, let me just counsel one thing to everybody. Do not talk to anybody who's a commission member outside of a regular meeting about this issue. Do not ask questions. Don't call anybody on the phone. Commission members should only be having their discussions about this matter during a meeting. That is my advice.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, I moved to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
15 minutes ago.
Motion's
I'll
made
second
by-
that.
yeah, I don't talk about this with anybody outside. I don't know, but that's not really
No,
an
but I'm just trying to make it clear that while I may be going to the Kakiwik annual meeting with Bill, I will not be talking to him about this matter.
Yeah.
At all. So just want everybody to understand that if you meet somebody, one of the other commission members at a restaurant,
no problem.
bump into them, you don't talk about it. You don't talk about particularly since he's threatened litigation. You just absolutely do not.
The
You
only
shouldn't be
thing,
doing it anyways.
the only thing I would have said, I've already stated publicly in this meeting.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking to you about this, so never mind.
Okay.
Motion's been made by Bill Butt, seconded by Bill Rowinski to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so moved. At 9:19 p.m.
Thank you, Dottie.
Okay.
Thank you, Dottie.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night,
Dan.
good night, everyone.